So the New York Knicks are involved in this conversation because of a Sham's report over at ESPN, where I found it very interesting. I found it very, very intriguing, at the very least, to kind of learn more about what's going on in the background with Giannis. Giannis is very quiet, it feels like, as a human being, in terms of not wanting to like really get into the muck and get into the mess on this stuff. So Shams writes this story. I'm trying to pull it up as we talk.
We're doing the same thing, by the way. I'm looking for it.
Yeah, basically saying, he explained like how John Horst went out and did a face-to-face meeting with Giannis and his agent Yorgos. And basically they kind of discussed, Horst said, hey, we're doing this. Giannis said, okay, I'm concerned. I want to win a title. That's my goal here at the end of the day. Eventually they came to an agreement where Giannis was going to be on the team this year and everything was going to be fine. A part of this as well is that I guess that since May, Giannis's agency has been fielding interest in him, which is unsurprising, right? And Giannis's team has conducted due diligence on best possible outside fits should the star and his reps push to be traded from the Bucks. Several teams were discussed internally, but one emerged as the only place Giannis wanted to play outside of Milwaukee, the New York Knicks. Multiple sources with direct knowledge of the situation told ESPN. The Bucks picked up the Knicks' call on Antetokounmpo, and the sides engaged in conversations for a window of time, but the teams never got traction on a deal. One weird thing that I'll talk about momentarily, New York, for its part, believes the Bucks were never serious about entertaining an Antetokounmpo trade. The multi-week process was described by one source with direct knowledge of the talks as an exclusive negotiating window. That just like doesn't totally track for me, to be honest. Like that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But Andrew, I'm sure you were excited to see this news that Giannis is very pumped about the New York Knicks. One thing before we do this entire thing, I do just want to call out that Giannis did do a press conference yesterday. And we do know how Giannis's feeling on this is. First of all, I haven't read that story. When the season starts, I try to get off social media and I try to focus on my craft and the team. But yeah, I've said this many times. I want to be in a situation that I can win. And now I'm here. I believe in this team. I believe in my teammates. I'm here to lead this team to wherever we can go. And it's definitely going to be hard. We're going to take it day by day, but I'm here. So all the extra stuff does not matter. I think I've communicated with my teammates, communicated with the people I respect and love, that the moment I step on this court or in this facility, I wear this jersey. The rest does not matter. I'm locked into whatever I have in front of me. Now, if in 6-7 months I change my mind, I think that's human too. You're allowed to make any decision you want, but I'm locked in. I'm locked into this team. I'm locked into these guys, to this group, to this coaching staff, and to myself. Okay, so I wanted to read the Giannis quote before I let you kind of go wild here, Andrew, because I'm sure this is exciting for you. Andrew, your thoughts on Giannis apparently being excited by the New York Knicks?
Well, first of all, hello, Sam, and hello, Bryce. Thank you for having me on the show once again today. I'm excited for what we're going to get to do later with this projected wins draft. Also, to all those celebrating, happy Yankees Elimination Day. It's always a great day when this happens once every year. You say I was excited by this, and I think you worded it correctly, that I'm excited that Giannis is excited about the Knicks, because guess what? So am I, as currently constructed. And since this wasn't anything that was going to happen this summer, because the actual reaction I had to Shams' report was more so, it wasn't like, oh, wow, we're getting Giannis. It was, that's interesting. That's a thing that happened this summer. Also, a little behind the scenes, and I'll just bring some of our conversations from the summer to light, Sam. I had heard from someone when I was about to go on vacation over the summer that something like this was happening, that Giannis and the Knicks, or Giannis's representatives, or the Bucks and the Knicks were talking. And what I do normally when I hear little things like that is go to people that know more than me to see how legitimate it is, which is why I just asked you, like, should I be prepared to interrupt my vacation? And you, not to divulge our full conversation, were like, go on vacation. You're fine. And it was more so me taking that to think this didn't happen. Like what I was hearing was wrong. And now it was, oh, so they were talking. Like that person wasn't coming from nowhere. And not to say that you said that wasn't real. It was just like, I think you're fine. Like, I don't think the Bucks will trade him for what the Knicks have, let alone without shopping him, which then backs up in this story that Sham's reported, which is a long way of saying, look, years ago, this would be the only thing that mattered in New York. This would be the only droplet of news that a Knicks fan was excited about. Oh my gosh, someone actually wants to come here and put words on it, apparently. Like Knicks fans have gone through the ringer of, are we getting Kevin Durant? Are we getting LeBron? Are we getting Donovan Mitchell? Are we getting this player, this star? When is the savior coming here? And I'm happy to report Jalen Brunson came 3 years ago, and the franchise has kind of been on an upward trajectory ever since to contender status. So it is cool that we're the contender that the superstar that may be frustrated with his situation wants to go to. But this isn't happening, obviously, during the summer or before training camp. And this can kind of lead the conversation if you want to. I don't think this is going to happen during the season. And more to the Knicks' involvement in this, outside of Giannis really exerting his player empowerment and saying, I'm not extending with anybody but the Knicks, I don't think the Knicks have the package to beat several other teams that can be called contenders. So there is a lot of reality in how Knicks fans, specifically me and the content creators up there, have processed this. It wasn't as earth-shattering or news gathering. How do I put this? This wasn't the biggest headline of this week. It was cool that Giannis wanted to go to the Knicks.
Yeah, the Knicks have been like rumored for Giannis for a while. Like this isn't wildly new information, in my opinion. That like the theory was for a while that Giannis would have interest in the Knicks. Now, like I think where it's a little bit different here is that seemingly the Knicks were the choice, as opposed to just like having interest. But like, I don't really think that's new. Before I kind of give my whole spiel on this whole thing, and I'll talk about Giannis as well within this. Bryce, like, do you have any thoughts on this whatsoever? Like before we kind of go?
You guys got it. You guys know where I'm at right now. And I got a taste of preseason basketball and games and analysis. And so now I'm just like so over all of this stuff. I'm more interested in like, what would that trade, what would that look like? How would you guys feel about what the trade would look like? How would it all fit together? Like all of that. I think that's kind of interesting to talk about.
So real quick, before you go, Sam, we had Ian Bagley, who covers the Knicks for SNY, has done so for decades now. We had him on over at Knicks Film School. He did say the Knicks made a competitive, like a real offer. Like they didn't just go in and say, Pacome Dadier and like the swap we didn't send to Brooklyn, like they actually made a legitimate offer, but he didn't actually say what the offer was. And to this reporting, and then obviously to what Ian heard as well, neither side went into this conversation all that seriously, it seems. And I think I never at any point in processing this story, reading this story, thought like, oh, there was a moment this summer where the Knicks almost got Giannis. It was like, oh, they talked. And to your point, Bryce, the reaction I've gotten from a lot of our audience is like, the Knicks play Thursday. Like, we want to watch this basketball team that has been built that we're very excited about. We'd like to move on from the offseason speculation and the rumors. So this wasn't the story of the week for Knicks, in the Knicks world, at least. I'm sure it was in the Bucks world, and I'll hand it over to you, Sam.
So this story confused me on multiple fronts, kind of just straight up when I saw it. So first and foremost is the timing of it. Obviously came on the night of the first Bucks preseason game. I'm sure that played a role just in the programming side of it, from like just having worked at a media company for a long time, understanding the programming decisions that go in, I'm sure that like that was a piece of it for sure. First preseason game, let's get something out on Giannis. I'm not totally sure why. So the angle that I'm almost certain of and that I feel quite confident of is that like the Knicks did not leak this. Like I would say that like pretty strongly. A lot of the detail seems to come from meetings between the Bucks and Giannis, or Giannis's representation meeting with teams. It's like trying to figure out maybe not meeting with teams, but having like informal conversations with teams, things like that. That's what that seemed like to me in terms of like where this would be coming from. I don't know that. I'm just kind of spitballing here based off of the way of the report. Right. But like, if you're the Knicks, like, I don't really think you want this out there. Like, it just serves to kind of fuck with what's going on a little bit with your team. The second piece of it in terms of timing is just like, this isn't happening now. Like, I get that I guess this is news, right? Like it's news that he would want to go to New York, but like this isn't happening. Like these trade conversations occur. It just kind of feeds the slot machine a little bit. Not the slot machine, the slop machine. Shout out, Ball. It is absolutely just kind of, feeding that ecosystem more than anything to me. And I don't know, given that like it's not happening right now, like it's very clearly spelled out that it's not happening right now. It's strange. It's very strange. And then just like detail wise in this thing, right? And I'm not calling out Shams. Like I'm sure that this is what he got and everything, but just like logically, right? The Knicks have in no way, shape, or form the ability to get the best offer. My read from everything that I knew was that if Giannis made it really hard on Milwaukee this summer, which he chose not to, was that Milwaukee would open it up, right? Like they weren't just going to be like, Giannis, where do you want to go? Right? They weren't just going to be like, oh yeah, like this is fine.
Hold on, I have a question. Yeah. Is it good to shop a superstar to try to get the best offer in said trade? Is that good?
Well, that's literally where I was going. So we're coming off of.
Hold on. Can I follow up Bryce's? Hold on. Can I follow up Bryce's question?
Sam missed my joke.
Question?
Sam doesn't want to play my
Can I follow up Bryce's question with another question? What if the person shopping the said superstar goes out to coffee with a longtime friend and is convinced it's actually not? Then is the circumstances different?
This is exactly my point. We're coming off of the spring, really the winter, I guess, but like winter into springtime, where we just saw what happens to a GM that trades a superstar without shopping him.
Yeah,
right?
You get the number one pick. Good process gets rewarded by the basketball gods.
Yeah, you're saying that if the Bucks have traded Giannis to the Knicks this summer, AJ DeBanza would be a buck in 9 months, is what you're saying.
That is Darren Peterson disrespect there, GM.
Excuse me, I'm literally just going by what has been going up on the Substack. I'm just going in order. Okay.
Darren's next week. Sorry, Andrew. So there's like, if you get absolutely excoriated by the public if you don't open it up, is the reality. And like that's how John Horst loses his job, is trading Giannis without opening it up. The idea of it being an exclusive negotiating window in that respect is very strange. And assuming that is true, it says to me what Shams wrote in the story is right, that the Bucks never had interest in trading Giannis. On top of that, if they did actually have interest in trading Giannis, there's no way that this becomes that was bad. Exclusive. Exclusive is a hard word to say whenever you're talking fast. There's no way that this becomes exclusive because the Knicks don't have anything that the Bucks should want, right? Like at the end of the day, like I'm sorry to Karl Towns, I'm sorry to OG Anunoby. Jalen Brunson, everybody involved in everything, right? Those guys don't really help the Bucks. If they're trading Giannis, they are rebuilding, right? Like that's just the reality of the situation. That is what it is. So given that that is the case, I just don't think that the Knicks could do this without involving a third team, which automatically makes it non-exclusive on some level because you're involving a third team to get involved in the mix. Like if the Knicks go to somebody and say, hey, do you have interest in Karl Towns? Do you know how fucking easy it's going to be for that team to understand? Oh, I wonder who they're going for if they're moving Karl Towns. They're not moving Karl Towns unless it's for like a legit superstar. It's a list of probably 3 names. You know what I mean? So automatically it becomes non-exclusive at that point, if it's like a serious deal. And assuming Sham's reporting is correct, and Shams is good at this, right? Like I would assume that was the biggest sign to me that the Knicks never really were in the ball game with this, right? And that the Bucks just weren't really all that interested. And that's the information that I had gotten. That's why we talked about it a little bit pre-draft, Bryce, like you and I, like on the show. But we stopped after a point because it was just like, this isn't happening. That was kind of what I was told, is that it wasn't happening. They didn't want to move him, especially after they did the Turner deal. Like it was going to take like heaven and earth being moved at that point within the Bucks side to move him, because they wanted to see what this team could be, basically. And anytime that you're trading one of the 20 best players of all time, you're probably going to lose on the deal, and you're probably going to lose, right? Like you're probably going to lose for a long time moving forward after such a deal. So there's not a whole lot of excitement about this. So all of that just made this report very strange to me, I guess. And then the Giannis press conference comes yesterday, and I felt like a lot of people took that the wrong way. I think a lot of people took it as like, oh, Giannis knows what he's doing. He's doing this, like he's opening it up. He's making it known that he might not be in Milwaukee long term. I don't think we learned anything new about Giannis's thought process there, because I think the thing with Giannis, from talking to people that have covered him for years, for talking to people around the league, everything, he's not really one of those guys that goes in with like ulterior motives into press conferences and things like that. He just kind of says what's on his mind. And in that moment, what was on his mind was just, look, like I'm here now. I'm going to go. And if we know anything about Giannis, when he's on the court, he is going to absolutely play as hard as humanly possible, because he is a crazy competitor that absolutely plays at the foremost of what his abilities are in terms of effort, energy. Like there's no chance they're going to Jimmy Butler, like that he would Jimmy Butler this situation, right? Like it's just not who he is. So I think he said, look, like I'm here right now. Like I think about this stuff every summer. I want to win a title. These aren't new words from Giannis. Nothing of what he said yesterday is new information for anybody that's been like paying attention to Giannis here. Like, I don't think he goes in and is like, yeah, I'm going to leak here that, in 6 or 7 months, I might rethink this whole thing, everything like that. Right. I think he just says, look, like I've been open about this the entire time I've been here, that I want to win titles. That's my first and foremost, like most important thing. And yeah, does it suck for Bucks fans that he left the door open? Sure. But like the thing is that like I think Bucks fans are looking at it because they know that this is how he operates. Like he just kind of talks. Like he doesn't, it's kind of refreshing to me. Like he just is who he is. You know what I mean? And he just speaks and he just goes with it. And if in 6 or 7 months he's feeling differently, that might be the case, right? That's also something that Bucks fans know. What I think is frustrating more than anything for Bucks fans about this entire situation is that this has been going on now for 2 years, Like he literally signed an extension and it continued, right? Because honestly, like I have no problem saying this. Like ESPN has been asking these questions for a long time. It's not just Shams. It's, it's been a thing at ESPN to kind of raise this question for quite a long time, right? And I think what is most frustrating for them as a Bucks fan community is that they've had to deal with this when he's been like clear that he's there and has 2 feet down, right? And when they were clearly competing for a title and there wasn't really a chance that he was going to leave. Now that they do have to deal with this, unfortunately, now, because there is a chance that he could leave within a year or so of now, right? We'll talk about the in-season thing in a second, Andrew, but like, I think what's frustrating is more the length of time that they had to deal with this over and over and over again. And now it's like when you hear it again, it's like, well, we've been hearing this now for 3 years, like from the same entity, essentially. Why would we, take this one as the one that is serious? And the reality is that the circumstances have changed. Like his contract has 2 years left on it. He is on a team that's worse than any team he's been on from a roster perspective on paper in quite some time, maybe 6 years, 7 years, right? So the circumstances unfortunately have changed, which means this conversation does have to continue. But I do feel really badly for Bucks fans because they have had to do this and had to deal with this for so long now. And this conversation has gone on for so long now.
GMAC?
Anybody?
Yeah, I'm in a weird spot where the Knicks have never, like, from a Bucks fan perspective, I'm going to try and put myself in other people's shoes here. And I've been blessed, but also not blessed that not many great players have played for the Knicks since like Patrick Ewing. It's been like Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire. So that's funny. You know this, Sam, like over at Knicks Film School, we spent our summer doing a countdown, a 25 episode series of the top 25 Knicks of the past 25 seasons. And let me tell you, it was dire. It's like Dante DiVincenzo for a year, Deuce McBride now. And there's not a lot of Hall of Famers on that list. And I've never had the experience of a guy coming to the Knicks or being a homegrown Knick that suddenly wanted to leave because of the market or the lack of success or the franchise not being able to put the right people around him or, just the guy eyeballing someplace else like New York. So I feel for Bucks fans that I do want to give Horst credit. He's very much been aggressive when needing to pivot, made the Drew Holiday trade, made the Dame Lillard trade, did what they did this summer with Turner. And for Bucks fans, it's got to be like, hey, we're trying, man. But if it's not enough, we understand if you go elsewhere. I do agree with you at the end of the day that and this is, I guess, maybe we can more discuss, like, this is the exclusive window never made sense to me either. And are you hinting that this could be a mid-season thing? Like Luka got traded mid-season, anything could happen. But wouldn't more teams be able to get involved at the end of the year when the new league year is changed and rosters expand during the off season? Like, wouldn't it make more sense? Plus, you get to play this playoffs out with this Eastern Conference with Giannis.
Yeah, like I can't imagine that Milwaukee is going into the season thinking that it's a mid-season thing. You know what I mean? Like I can't imagine that would be the reality. I don't know though. Like if the right team came to you with the right offer, I don't know that I'm opposed. And here's the big reason why this is the case to me. I think the Bucks held a lot more leverage this summer if they had chosen to move Giannis than what they will next summer. And the reason for that is the contract, right? He would have 1 year left plus a player option. So realistically, probably only 1 year left. If they take him into next offseason. This year, it would have been 2. I think Giannis is so good that there would have been absolutely no issue from any team league wide that wanted Giannis if he had like asked out or whatever, even if he had said, yeah, I want to go to the Knicks, right? I don't think that would have stopped a team like, I'm not specifying these teams specifically. I'm only saying them because they have a lot of young assets that I think that Milwaukee would be interested in. Like if Houston or San Antonio wanted to get involved, I don't think the fact that he had called out New York would have stopped them from getting involved, because they're like, shit, we get a 2-year window with Giannis. Like, let's go for it.
2 playoff runs. Yeah, that makes sense.
We get 2 playoff runs. Like, let's give this a shot and just see if this like goes incredibly well. Right. And if he leaves after 2 years and we stack a title, like probably worth it at the end of the day.
Or just the point you just said, this isn't a guy in Giannis that if I make a decision now, it'll be the same decision in 2 years. Maybe he likes Houston
Loves
or San Antonio. I'll sign a max extension. Why not? The Knicks seem to be doing fine without me.
Yeah. So there's that piece of it. Whereas like if it's only 1 year that you're getting Giannis for, and you have to convince him over that 1 year, which look like the Cavs did this with Donovan Mitchell, right? Like teams can do this. Like I think that there would be teams that have more assets than the Knicks that would get involved and just say, screw it, it's Giannis. Like we're doing this for a year. Giannis is so good that you just kind of go for it, I think, at the end of the day. But I wonder if there are a couple teams that might get cold feet. Like if you're San Antonio and you're building this long term with Wemby, right? And you have all these pieces locked in long term. And you're looking at this as a big, wide open window with Wemby, where you're trying to do like kind of what Oklahoma City did, where you're building this crazy wide open window for many years. Do you do a 1 year Giannis thing and give up a ton of your young assets and players like Dylan Harper and guys like that to do it? I don't know. Like I'm not as convinced on that, right? So like it could diminish the market. I think somebody would probably do it ahead of the Knicks, but it could create a circumstance where I think the Knicks like get involved. I think that more than anything, what the Knicks want is they want this to extend into next offseason.
I'm actually on the fence about what I think the Knicks want, because I think they would love Giannis. Here's the excuse me. Here's the reality of where I think the Knicks are, and I have high expectations from Mikal Bridges this year. I think last year has now officially become an underrated season, or at least the slander against him that I may have participated in has a bit been overstated. There's a lot of things around him that did not create the best opportunity for him to succeed. If the Knicks don't trade for Mikal Bridges, I wonder if Giannis is a Knick right now. That if they enter that exclusive negotiating window and the Knicks haven't used their entire treasure chest that they like didn't use on Donovan Mitchell and didn't use on this star that got traded, and we're just like stacking picks, and we've got these extra picks from OKC from a draft night trade, and we've got the salary and Julius Randle to match, and we've just been waiting for the right opportunity to pounce. And that's honestly, as far as could the Knicks have gotten Giannis, my first thought when I saw this was like, oh, well, they already had a chance to, but they traded for Mikal Bridges instead. I don't think if people say that, what's up?
And I don't think that that's true. Like, I don't think that they ever had a chance at Giannis prior to this. Like, I don't think Giannis was available prior to this.
But no, I'm saying like if they entered this summer without making the Mikal trade and they have all their picks, like they would have waited for Giannis.
They were always going to go in on somebody last summer, I think. Like, be it Mikal, be it somebody else. Like, it was always going to be somebody that they went for last summer. And then once they did the Mikal deal, they were always going to try and go get somebody else, Towns in this case, right? To make it a little bit better of a fit. So, like, I've seen Knicks fans play that game, and I understand the desire to like, think about the opportunity cost of all this. But I just kind of think the reality was that like with Brunson and after doing the OG deal, they were always going to go in on somebody was the reality. Like I think that it was always just very unlikely that they were going to have these picks.
The only
you can say like whether or not that's smart.
Yeah,
I think that's fine, but I just think they were always going to do it at the end of the day.
Look, the situation they were in with Randall only having 1 year left, with OG locking him up long term, with Brunson probably the extension he agreed to being that summer, them also having to go get another Villanova teammate. I understand why last summer had so much urgency. You add in that Hartenstein left, that made them even more interested in locking up a core long term and not just doing like 1 to 2 year deals with guys because we're waiting for that big fish to come. I don't necessarily think it's like I want to give anyone that's like, if we didn't trade Mikal, which I just did, like if they didn't trade for Mikal Bridges, maybe Giannis is a Knick right now. You could have gotten somebody else that didn't cost you 4 unprotected firsts.
Totally.
The Milwaukee pick, because realize what I just said, the Milwaukee pick. Like if Giannis is frustrated before the draft and the Knicks have control of the Bucks pick on draft night and 4 or 3 other future protected firsts, they could have gone a different direction, but they were doubling and tripling down on friendship. And I was all for it at the time. I'm still kind of all for it. I like Mikal Bridges. I think he's going to be really good this year. The Knicks might win a title or at least make it to the finals this year. As far as if you're just looking in the vacuum of the Knicks' chances at Giannis, I personally think unless Giannis makes it very clear, which I don't think he's the type of person to do this, I'm only going to the Knicks. Don't trade for me next summer. I don't think this is a Knicks story to that much. I do agree with you. If this becomes a trade deadline negotiation, the pool of teams will potentially get bigger. I don't see the Knicks potentially getting involved in this, or at least being able to, not involved in this. I shouldn't say that. Being able to be the front runners in this at the end of the day.
If you can get 2 playoff runs for Giannis, I think you might just go in and say, screw it, we're doing it. If it's 1, I wonder if there's quite as big of a marketplace of teams.
It becomes Kawhi, right? It becomes a Kawhi situation. You know, you have him for a year. The price would probably go down as a result. And you're trading for a guy that you know is going to free agency next year, which, correct me if I'm wrong, the other team that has like the other big market that could potentially just get him in free agency that Giannis could use as a power move is the Lakers in the summer of 2027. So like he could just say like, don't trade for me. I'm going to the Lakers, or to trade me where I want to go. I will use them as leverage as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not wrong. The other example of this, if memory serves, Mitchell only had 1 year left, didn't he? He might have had 2.
He had 2. He had actually just signed an extension the year before he got traded, and then got traded in after the first year of, I guess not the new deal, but he had a 2-year.
No, he was on a 5-year extension at that point.
I forget what the terminology was. The Knicks were obviously heavily involved in that negotiation, so I knew we're getting him. Plus with 2 years before his next extension eligibility. Yeah,
it was 2. He had 2 years. You're right. So it is more Kawhi than it is Mitchell. But the idea here is the same, that like Mitchell, you needed to pay for, like you needed to go in and be like, we need to convince him to stay to make this worth the price. And same with Kawhi. Like the Raptors won a title, which is amazing. So it probably is a little bit closer to Kawhi. I think you probably are right about this.
Can I ask one last question to both of you? As a quick rapid fire question. What team is Giannis representing in the All-Star game this year?
The Bucks.
The Bucks. Yeah. I agree. I just wanted to put it out there. Where do you project this going? I think he will also be a Milwaukee Buck for the All-Star game this year.
I'm like a little bit more willing to hear out the idea of them moving him mid-season than what other people are. But I would say that I think he's still a Buck mid-season for sure. I think they're going into the season hoping to be competitive, and the expectation would be that he's a Buck. And who knows, like if they win 50 games, which I don't think is likely, but I don't think is impossible, I guess I would say. Like Giannis is incredible and is unbelievably good at basketball. And you have Turner, who's a really good fit, and maybe Doc just like figures out a way to like make the defense like a total wall with him and Turner. Like, I'm not sitting here saying this is a thing that is real. I'm just saying that you just never know, right? Like, I'm sure the Bucks will offer him an extension. And if they win 50 and they win a playoff round, like, I don't know. I'm just like spitballing here and saying, like, look, Giannis is, for as much as we think we know about Giannis, I think that we like haven't ever had him in a situation where he is like genuinely, truly come up against, I'm in my prime. I have a team that might not be competitive right now. How do I handle this situation yet? So it's still a little bit more open than what I think people think, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah. Look, we talked about it when we did East over-unders, and we're about to talk about it in this draft. Like, is Giannis going to win 45 games? And that is already a safe bet. The Bucks could make a midseason move to potentially get better. And then you have the best player in the conference already on your roster. That's just not a bad situation to be in, no matter where you are seeding-wise going into the playoffs when the Pacers and maybe the Celtics. We'll talk about that as well come this draft we're about to have.
Yeah. And look, like, I don't love having this conversation, just frankly. I think it's still even like a little bit early to have this conversation, but it's one of the best players in the league. And there was this massive story now where it seems like we have an idea of where he might want to end up. And whether or not that's like likely is a real question to me. I think a lot depends on like how the Knicks season goes too. Do they feel like they have to go all in? Do they feel like they like are still a move away? I kind of think they've like made their moves on some level too. So, it's kind of what your point was, Andrew.